We may be at the point of no return with silver that could have a seismic impact on price in one direction or another. Let's talk about it in this video as we discuss the stress that is now facing the silver market as we explore. We have never been here with regards to silver, which means that a number of different things could happen. Now, I like to be as realistic as I can on silver because you never know, and we're in uncharted territories to some degree. But there's a piece by Bloomberg News that is very bullish on where silver's price could go, and we're going to entertain that possibility and try to bring some counterbalance to this as well as we get into it. Now, when we are buying silver, we must do so with the most information that we can digest and absorb as to what's going to happen down the road with silver's price. This is why I always like to be very careful in my analysis, because I don't want to lead anybody astray, that's for sure. But nonetheless, we have seen a lot of impact already in the silver market. So we have evidence on our side. Silver's price just recently got up to $34 an ounce, and it has pulled back since then. But I think that likely with two rate cuts coming down the road, we're going to see silver prices be bolstered and probably go up anyways. But this is outside of what I'm going to be talking about here. Summit Metals is the sponsor of the channel. Do your research before you buy precious metals from any firm, any company. But check out Summit Metals. I think you'll be very pleased with the pricing and the service over at summitmetals.com as you shop around. The silver market faces mounting stress as trade war concerns intensify, with higher rates to borrow the silver adding to signs of a global dislocation. A surge in these lease rates for the precious metal has become the largest sign of alarm, with anxiety building over the impact of further tariffs from Donald Trump, from the President of the United States. That sparked a dash to ship silver into the United States in a bid to capture premium prices in New York, possibly causing a squeeze in London. I think that's pretty well been solidified that there's a squeeze right now in the London market. We've talked about that here with the LBMA stocks. But these lease rates are at highs that we've not seen, at least as long as I know of, for the past 4 or 5 years and then some. Precious metals, gold and silver, have been upended this year as Trump challenges the global trade order. That spurred demand for havens and also opened up rare pricing dislocations between key markets. While spot silver has gained about 17% this year, maybe a little bit less now because of the recent pullbacks, making it one of the better performing commodities. Futures in New York have done even better. On a physical level, the tariff concerns, especially levies against Canada and Mexico, as well as wider reciprocal curbs that may kick in next month, have drawn vast quantities of both gold and silver out of London into U.S. vaults, putting great strain on the LBMA vaults. But given their relative value and density, gold tends to be air freighted, with silver often taking far longer voyages, typically by ship. We'd also discuss that as well too, because some silvers come by plane because of how fast it's moving out there. And we have the recent news about the delisting of London gold and silver from the COMEX. That is another angle to this that I think is especially important to understand. Now, the lease rates are the cost of borrowing the metal, generally for a short period, have jumped. 1 month rates for silver topped 6% this month. That's huge, after a larger spike in February. That partly reflects concerns about fast depleting stockpiles in the United Kingdom capital, with holdings hitting a record low last month. In addition, not all of what remains is available, given that it's tied to exchange-traded products. So that is an important thing. That is a real squeeze that we're seeing right now in silver, especially with what's going on with this. This is big news, and this is something that is going to be impactful, probably more so than what we're seeing right now. I expect the lease rate in London to remain high for about 2 to 3 months, said Chao Sunsheng, an analyst at Kofco Futures Company, with the UK to US transfer underway. Silver is a lot bulkier than gold, so the transfer of silver will likely take longer, she said. Exchange reported totals in the U.S. expect the turmoil. COMEX tallied inventories of silver have expanded to the highest level ever in data going back to 1992 after surging by 40% so far this quarter. That's a record rise. While New York is still drawing in metal at present, there are also concerns that flows may be thrown into a drawn-out reverse as silver faces a shortage in London vaults. Should the long-fabled silver squeeze materialize, and I think it already is, the slower trade flow will be a key contributor to prolonging any potential disruption, BO Capital Markets analyst George Happel said in a note. That's because it would take time for silver stockpiles to flow from the U.S. back to London. And you know they're not going to ship them by plane to go back to London, as they have been coming into the United States by plane. And the U.S. imports about 70% of its silver from Canada and Mexico, which have borne the brunt of the Trump administration's move on trade so far. Ottawa subsequently announced 25% counter tariffs on about $20.8 billion of U.S.-made items, including silver. And since then, Trump has reiterated his desire for April 2nd to mark a wave of new levies, and supposedly that date is firm, and that's when the reciprocal tariffs will begin. The market may be underpricing the scale and impact of the upcoming April 2nd reciprocal tariffs, Citigroup analysts, including Max Layton, said in a note, highlighting the price dislocation. There may be substantial potential upside should reciprocal tariffs be implemented over the next 6 months, they said, adding that silver is unlikely to be exempted from levies. So there you go, folks. It's unlikely that it's going to be exempt, which means it will be impacted, and it will be very real, and I think that is going to cause the price of silver to go up from here, which is why I'm more confident than ever of $36 silver. Even with some of the consolidation and pullbacks, I think we're going to get there by the end of this year. And when we saw silver creep up above $34 an ounce, even with the recent pullbacks, it's still above $33 an ounce right now. And the COMEX futures are about 60 to 70 cents higher. TD Securities also signaled its concern on this matter. If reciprocal tariffs are really like for like, you would expect retaliatory tariffs on Canadian silver, and that's about 20% of U.S. imports. So there is a higher risk associated with silver, according to Daniel Gali, who's a senior commodity strategist at TD. Even if the disruptions were to completely resolve themselves overnight, we can't go back. That's right. He's saying that we cannot go back to the prior world because you never know what will happen the next day. And all that silver that has been dislocated, the market really has been upended. And it really is in trouble, folks. And I think it's going to bode well for silver's price. For those of us who hold the physical, it certainly is good news, I think. Now, obviously, I can be wrong on this, but I tend to agree with this analysis. The pullback that we've been seeing here lately, I think, is just kind of normal. And, you know, the Friday SmackDown, we talk about it and what's driving that. But there's only so much that it can be smacked down, whether it be by natural market forces or what have you. I think silver is going to position itself to do well. And I think it's going to have a big impact on price, and I think it already has started to have that impact on price. Remember, most analysts, including myself, and I don't consider myself an analyst or a professional in any way, shape, or form, felt that silver was going to fall back below $30 an ounce, at least for a time, as at the beginning part of the year, and we would see the gains come towards the end of the year. Well, so far, there's not been much reprieve for that low of a silver price. So we'll see how it plays out. Now, this is just my opinion and my feelings on it. Do not make any decisions. Do not buy any silver from anywhere, including the sponsor of the channel, based off of my opinion. but I tend to agree with this analysis. I think that silver is going to do well, and and I'm not saying that silver is going to hit $50 an ounce, but I do feel that we could see $36 an ounce by the end of the year, and so based off of what I'm reading here and what I'm seeing, and not only here but in other aspects of the silver market as well. So let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. I like to give you the latest news on the world of precious metals, trying to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of this calendar year. So if you've not subscribed, I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel for daily videos on news and analysis in the world of precious metals. I also like to do videos on tips on stacking and even some numismatic stuff rarely from time to time. So I hope you will check it out. I'd like to do some variety in the world of precious metals here. So with that being said, I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch this video, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and stack.